Oh, hello everyone. I guess I forgot to
Hi.
put the countdown today, which means we have 30 seconds more to spare for people to join us, right?
Yeah,
How's everyone today? How are you, Kenny? How are you, Eleanor?
it's good.
Oh, good.
It's not so hot today. It looks like it's about to
Yeah,
rain.
I was about to say that as well.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it's been yeah,
It's about to rain.
yeah, it's about to rain here lah.
Okay. I wish I'm having whatever weather you guys are having. But again, for those who just joined us, welcome. As you know, Thursday is our pop-up Q&A day, which basically means whoever comes in earlier gets the opportunity to ask us career questions, and it is likely that we'll pick it up if it's a very, very good and relevant question, right? So, let us know, please. Sometimes we have some audio issues. Let us know whether you can hear us clearly or not from wherever you're watching, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Just drop a one. Just let us know that you can hear us clearly and properly, lah, right? So, of course, as usual, before we start, I would like to let everybody know here that you know us as a job portal, Hiredly, right? But did you know that you can also drop your CV to us and engage with our headhunters at x.hiredly.com, the link that you see here on the top right of wherever you're watching, lah, right? So, with that, that is where basically if you drop your CV, if there are suitable positions for you, our headhunters will be in contact with you, lah, right? So now, before we start, before we take your questions, again, for the people who just joined us, before we take your questions, we have a question for you as well, lah. Do you think colored hair, uh, or at least people who dye their hair, is unprofessional? I think colored hair is a bit misleading because there are some people born with other. Um, Black is also a colored hair. Like people who dye their hair, let's rephrase that properly. Like people who
Yeah.
dye their hair, is it unprofessional? What do you guys think? Let us know in the comments, right? But what do
What
you think?
color?
Huh?
What color are we
Like,
talking about? We're talking
doesn't
about
matter lah. Like
silver.
if it's not your natural color, then is it unprofessional? What do you think, Eleanor?
I don't think so. Honestly, I mean, I think it's quite traditional mentality lah, I would say,
Mm,
whereby people think, oh, if you go and see doctor and then the doctor's hair is green color, you shouldn't trust the doctor or something like that. But honestly, what does hair got to do with their skills? Like the doctor graduated, PhD, everything, and highly skilled. If you are dying, are you not going to let the doctor help you just because the color of his hair is green? I mean, I wouldn't. Even if you don't have hair, so please help
oh,
me.
well, I'm sure. Yeah, that's very fair. it's like no, I
Yeah,
don't, I don't want this doctor because he has color. No, it's not like that. But it definitely, it will raise a bit of attention, right? But I don't see any problem with it,
yeah.
personally. And Kenny sure got very biased view if you look at his hair.
So this is the thing. I
I
I
cannot
I
see
really
also Kenny's hair.
okay lah. It's quite light. For everyone, this is light brown. um, I'm very on the fence. Okay, I really really like colored hair, but in terms of like the workplace, right? I've been thinking about it, and it's very odd. Like if I go into an office and I see a CEO with red colored hair, like bright red hair, I will be taken aback no matter what. It doesn't make me
Mm,
feel like they're less of a CEO, but it is a visual impact, and you sort of don't know what to think about it. In some sense, it does make them
yeah,
feel a bit more approachable. It does reduce their credibility in your eyes in the first place. So I think
yeah,
to a certain extent, it does affect. Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't think
And
it's
let
unprofessional lah.
yeah, let us know, guys. Those of you are watching, right? I can't. I'm pretty sure there may be some cases where um I don't know. Like I cannot think of any. Let me know if you can think of any cases where it's not about a stigma, but rather it's actually not suitable for the work at all. That one. There may be some cases that nothing comes to mind, right? But anyway, yeah. Sorry, Kenny.
I do have, if I'm not mistaken, lawyers are not allowed to dye their hair like two unnatural colors. So when you go to court, you sort of need to have
Yeah.
you can have brown hair, but you cannot have like a blue color
Yeah.
hair. I think. Don't quote me on
Perhaps,
this.
yeah, anybody you can confirm that or any fun facts like that, let us know, right? But so this is something that we just want to see what you guys think lah from wherever you're watching, right? But of course we'll be answering the questions in the comment section today. And again, wherever you're watching from, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, this is a session where we will pick good career questions and answer them live lah, right? So now first question is from Shafiq. Hi, may I know from your perspective, is it okay if I prepared a slide presentation for the interview and share a bit of idea from me? Would it increase my chances or not actually? What do you think?
Personally, I mean, first things first, the first thing that came to my mind is you definitely need to stand out, right? In interviews or job applications, things like that. You need to stand out from your other candidates that applied to the same particular role. And for me personally, after interviewing people for few years, I've not seen anyone who's done it. So definitely, if you were to do it and I were to be your interviewer, you would definitely stand out. So that is a point already. And it increasing your chances or not would depend on whether or not your slide is good or not lah. So
Yeah, I don't think
Yeah.
by the design, by the way, Shafiq, like the
Yeah.
content itself.
Yeah, correct. So if the content, speaks for itself, it brings more value to your career, as in like to what you've done so far, and brings value to the role that you are applying for, then definitely it would increase your chances. But
Yeah.
it being just a presentation slide, like what Brian said, like just you're doing something beautiful, unless it's a creative role, I don't think it would be such a big of a plus point. Only if the content is good, then yes, you would stand out.
Yeah, I think I think it's it's not a norm lah. So if you're doing something that is not not a norm, right? I won't say not normal because that would imply weird, but not a norm, you will definitely be noticed. But whether you're noticed for the right thing or not is a different story. So, like for example, if someone is joining our marketing team here, and he actually has a slide that he'd like to share to explain about how what we can do in our marketing that that can be improved upon, or he has showcased any ideas, it's a good way to visualize it through slides. But again, if you don't have anything good to say, perhaps don't say anything at all. Like you stand out, but later, if it still very much depends on the content. If the content is not good, like the solution proposed is not good or whatever, right? I don't think any professional looking slides visually would help lah. So yeah, I think I hope that answers your question, Shafiq. Anything from you, Kenny? No.
One thing only is because you're doing something that's not a norm, you may need to prepare that you can say, I want to share my slides, somebody can reject you. You have to think, like, if you're physically going to the interview, then you need to prepare your laptop for it. If you're doing virtually, you need to ask for permission to be able to do it as well. So you need to think about this. Like, just because you want to do the slide doesn't mean that somebody may want to accept it. So something just to take note. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Shafiq, for the question. Now, moving on to the next one. Hi, on Hiredly, there is no option to upload a portfolio. Should I upload my portfolio along with my CV? Will that increase my chances of being considered for an interview? I'm a social media manager and I feel it's best to showcase my work. Or do you think it's better to save my portfolio for the interview later? Thank you. So Ilya, right? I'm sorry, I'm so bad with names. I'm so sorry. Yes, so there is no option to upload a portfolio on Hiredly, and it's by design because we, especially when it's what do you call it, like part of your CV, and then I'm sure you have a lot of good work, and if you add your portfolio, it's gonna be like what 4, 5, 6 pages. And generally, that's just not a very good practice to just attach everything in your portfolio. Sometimes it's like some of your work cannot be showcased good. What do you call it? Like it just, I would say like a few pages, but it's still a few pages too long for your CV. So what we always recommend is in your like basic info or your contact info there, right? Highlight it, your portfolio, your work. You can host it on the website. If you're a social media manager, you can perhaps link it to the social media page that you're managing. So that will be your actual form of what do you call it? Your portfolio. In its actuality, rather than just screenshots and posting it uh, on your CV. That is what I would recommend, because sometimes when you attach all these images in your CV, right, employers cannot, perhaps some formats, some CV is too big, cannot go to the system properly, or it's buried under your, what do you call it? If you don't highlight it in your portfolio section, in your basic info section, usually it's rare that at a glance someone would scroll your CV to the bottom of the page. Right? So that's why, to make sure it's one of the first few things that people see, at your portfolio, at your basic info, like near your phone number or your email there. Anything to add, guys?
Nope, I think that pretty much covers it.
Yeah, it's quite
Yeah.
straightforward.
So definitely, to answer your last question, do you think it's better to save the portfolio for the interview later? I think you can, find a way to bring it to the interview. Like what can you say, laptop or phone or whatever. But yes, it is best to showcase your work, but how you showcase it is also very, very important. So link it instead. Sometimes it may be like sorry, just to add this. Sometimes it may be like the recruiter may actually, it could be a lot of different possibilities. They may actually print your CV out physically and pass it to the hiring manager. And when they print it, you'll be sure they're not going to, perhaps they won't be printing it like some A-grade Canon photo paper. So, make sure the link that you're putting there is also a shortened link. So, when the CV is sent to anybody, they can just type it on their browser. Very, very easily, like linkedin.com/in, /Brian Lam, something like that, not with like the long string of numbers that is very, very hard to join, right? So, or to enter. So, thank you, Ilya, for the question. I don't see a lot of people talking about the hair thing. Oh, God,
We
later.
have Kim.
God. Kim.
I like Kim's
Later,
answer.
let's get to that. Let's get to that later. Thank you so much. I'm very interested to see what you say later about the hair color. So, Benjamin, what does it take to pivot from a sales role to a strategic planning role? Strategic planning role, do you mean like kind of like project manager? That's strategic planning. You mean like a role that requires strategic planning, right? I'm not sure whether you're talking about an exact job title of a strategic, planner. That would very much, what it takes definitely would be what is required from the role. I think a lot of every job requires some form of strategic planning in terms of marketing, in terms of sales as well. Like how you plan to re-engage with your clients, how you plan to sell to a client. So what does it take to pivot from a sales role to a strategic planning role? Any thoughts, guys? Other than
It
what I
would
just shared.
help. It would help if Benjamin, if you could elaborate a little bit about your question. But I think generally speaking, if you want to pivot from one role to the other, you should have done. First of all, why are you looking to pivot? Second of all, is the reason you wanting to pivot just like based on hearsay, or have you done extensive research onto the strategic planning role that you want to take on? Once you if you have done research on the role that you want, or the field that you want to go into, you should have a clear understanding on what skills you have now that is transferable to that particular role or that field. So sales, from sales role, maybe if you are in a higher level of role in sales, right? Maybe manager or team lead, or a senior role, that requires you to do strategic planning as well. That is also a transferable skills. Doesn't mean that you just because you are doing sales, it's irrelevant. So there are skills that are transferable, some hard skills, some soft skills. So you will need to determine that based on your research. Yeah. Anything to add?
I mean, just assuming, let's say sales is more of the execution role, strategic planning is more of like the higher tier management kind of vibe, then I think the most important thing you need to have is a really clear knowledge of your industry and your field. Because if you really want to be in strategic planning, no matter what field you're in, marketing, sales, or anything, you need to know, what's the existing strategies, what's the condition of your market, what's the industry like, all these kind of things. You need to be able to know that in order to plan for possible things. So
Yeah,
if let's say you're very focused in executing, then you need to start expanding beyond just what can I do and like overall strategy. Like how do other
yeah.
parts play into it? Yeah.
But just going by a very general definition of what you mean by strategic planning, right, I would really think that you need very good time management. You would really need to know how to break down itemize a very complex task and know how to assign it to people, to the right people. You need to know the skills of managing expectations of people. You need to know how you need to have a lot of soft skill, because if you're the person planning all these things, you will need to be the person to communicate all of these things as well. So how do you simplify it? How do you have the technical knowledge to talk to someone who is on the technical level of executing this? And how do you, perhaps talk at it at a very top down level? If you want to pitch this plan to someone, in a higher position, like maybe a C-level person or a director. So again, if it's a role that like project management, sometimes it involves like multi-team, and you really need all of these skills. But like I said, we're just talking in general because every role is very different. Uh, every the same role in different company has different requirements as well. Like a marketing executive in higher leave will perhaps be somewhat will never be 100% to someone else in another company, because it also depends on what they're doing, what kind of tech they're using, what kind of team structure they have, all of these things, right? So, but I think the best way to work it around is find out what the soft skills needed, what are the general things needed for someone in strategic planning role, and of course, most importantly, what does that specific role listed require, lah? So, hopefully, Ben, that answers your question. Um, Right. Oh, next one also from Benjamin. Nice lah. All right. What is a day to day in HR and recruitment like? What do you think?
Well, I guess. Hey, Kenny, were you saying something?
Oh yes, sorry, I was muted.
Oh, you're muted. Okay.
That's okay. You go first. Sorry.
I think day to day in HR looks a lot like what we all would think which is a lot of calling, a lot of screening candidates, a lot of looking through CVs, which is why I want to point out because there's so much CV, so much applications that they would need to go through. They spend very little time on each application, as in like to catch their attention, right? It only takes 6 seconds. So within that 6 seconds of them reviewing your CV, if there is nothing that catches their attention, they would move on. Chances are, so usually that would be what the day to day of a HR recruitment look like. And obviously they would also be reaching out to candidates, calling people, recruiting for their company, or also maybe managing payroll, things like that. Yeah, I hope that answers your question, Benjamin.
Yeah, but it may be more than that, Benjamin.
Yeah.
HR is a very diverse. Again, it depends on which company you're applying to. So HR, right? Some companies, their HR team is so big that they break into like learning and development, employer branding. So learning development doesn't do any screening or recruiting at all. They focus on developing the skills of the existing people. Then you focus on employer branding, which is very much like um, for the
Your
open
company's
positions.
career.
Yeah, as if they are
Yeah.
products itself. Uh, it's a lot. It's really a lot. Sometimes like employer well-being or whatever. So your day to day, if you're in a small company, requires all of these things. Could be all of those things, or your day to day could be, for example, if you're specializing in screening candidates, when if that's your role, then that will be a day to day lah. But I think HR is generally quite a diverse department with a lot of different. It's a multifunctional department.
Definitely differs from company to company lah.
Yeah.
The way what we're telling you right now may not be the case for certain companies, but generally it would be like that lah.
Yes. Right. So anything else to add, guys?
Nope.
All right. So now just quickly, Jesse has mentioned when indicated shortlisted still gets no sign of a company by call or email. I assuming that means you saw your status being shortlisted or highly. Well, usually shortlisted means that you are shortlisted among the pool of candidates you apply to. But behind the scenes, I can't speak for the company because I hope it's not our company lah, right? But generally, sometimes company may have they shortlisted you, but they might be doing some other modes of screening instead. So shortlisted is like they put you in out of this many people who apply, I think I want this group of people first. They might have other vettings required in their own team. Sometimes the process may be longer, shorter, but that it depends on each individual company lah, right? But if you can find means to contact them, their career emails and such like that, I would advise you to send like a follow-up email, follow up nicely, like just to show your interest a little bit. Perhaps someone in the team will check in on your application status, right? So thank you so much, Jesse, for commenting. Now, moving on to the next one. Interview question. I love this. What's the best way to answer questions from interviewer regarding what's your expected salary or how much are you getting paid currently? Kenny, am I right to assume that you've done so much career advice on our Instagram already? You're very good at this kind of question.
I suppose so. Okay. I'll try to tackle it according to what I know, and then you guys take a crack at it also. So,
Sure.
Lydia, in terms of your second question first, how much are you getting paid currently? If the employer brings up the question, just let them know. Be very clear about what you have, what you are drawing, etc. Feel free to share it with them. Don't feel taken aback. Maybe if it's at the very, very start of the interview, it will be a bit odd, but typically when the HR asks, it's just for them to gauge where you are, what salary you're drawing, and like if let's say you are within their range or outside of their range, how much increment would they typically can consider to give you, stuff like that. So that is just for them as a way for them to just sort of gauge how much you're getting and to implement it for your future salary. So don't be too afraid, just be very honest and share it with them. If let's say you got like, oh, this is your base salary and then this is your commission, you just let them know. Or if you have any allowances, you just let them know as well, so that they can take those into consideration. In regards to what's your expected salary, this is a tricky question. If it's at the end of the interview and you're really sort of given your pitch and focused on why they should hire you, then you can be honest and tell them what is your expected range. But if let's say you're asking for a bit higher, be ready to justify why you are asking for that number. Justify it with your achievements, with numbers, data if possible. So when it comes to the question of salary, we do not recommend bringing it up. But if the employer is the one that brought it up, then be open to have the conversation with them and have a negotiation and a conversation. Don't make it very one way.
Yeah.
Yep. I think
it's really like an art of selling. I think people are going to be tired of this example already. But like for example, I always use this mug example. Like this mug, for example, I say this mug is 30 ringgit right now. Why? You have to justify why this mug is 30 ringgit. Why should someone pay 30 ringgit for this mug when they can get a 2 ringgit mug on whatever Shopee or Lazada or whatever online platform you guys use. So, to answer those questions, you really, really got to justify your value on how you can deliver to the job. Like I say, oh, this mug is like, what do you call it? Like double layer, and it's hot on the inside, it keeps warm, but outside you won't burn your hand. It does like automatic stirrer, it glows in the dark or whatever, right? So that's why it makes it up to 30 ringgit instead of 2 ringgit mug. And that's how you really, really should answer, what is your, or not answer, but what's your expected salary really should just be a straightforward answer of what is your expected salary, and then followed by a justification of your value, right? how much are you getting paid for currently? I think there is no way to do it other than literally telling them about how much
Yes.
are you getting paid currently. But do remember to talk about like other like the salary package as well. If you will, like if you want to, I don't see there's a problem because you might be compensated in other form as well, like medical, parking, or dental, or whatever. So that's your whole salary package rather than just the net salary that you get, lah, right? So yeah, right. Thank you so much, Lydia. And I think um uh well, Joycelyn has a relevant what do you call it, a question. So I'll let you jump queue a little bit. When talking about salary expectations, company website already requested you to write down. Would you advise me to put a salary in bracket, negotiable? What do you think, Eleanor? Should they write bracket negotiable?
If the company requested for you to write down, I would say yes, you can. You can mention that it's negotiable because if let's say the company's how you call that, the company's expectation or the budget is lower than what you're expecting, then negotiable, seeing the word negotiable would definitely maybe put your one foot in the door, one foot through the door. And also it is, I guess, a way for you to be able to justify as well. If let's say you've gone for the interview, and since the company say that you mentioned that it's negotiable, our budget is actually lower than this, maybe you could even use the interview as the time, like what Kenny mentioned just now, to justify why are you worth this much, why how much value can you bring towards the company, and although you wrote negotiable, maybe you would even get the expected salary you're looking for. So yeah, I would say yes. I mean, but if let's say the company does not request you to put your expected salary on your CV, then we always advise people against putting your expected salary, because that will only limit you. Some companies may not be open to
Yeah,
negotiating or things like that. So
yeah, that's right.
mm,
So even like how I mean it's related, right? How high should you put for a current 20%? I cannot tell you straight, but generally the practice is you talk 30%, because it's a negotiation process lah. Like you will meet halfway, and if you talk about you added on you got turned down previously because no response. If you believe it is because of the salary, I can almost tell you that sometimes it's not your fault. Some I think it's generally understandable that it is a negotiating process. That means if you get turned down, it's either the employer is not aware or is not interested in negotiating, or they think that you are not interested in negotiating. So or in a way that is really way out of their budget completely for them to even be possibly in the realm of negotiation anymore, right? So talk about 30%, justify why, and then after that they will usually, like giving you like a not like a example scenario, like they will of course talk down a little bit, if it's like not their budget and stuff like that. Uh, then you have to like you have to talk about your value. It's like a tug of war like that, lah. Then you can talk about because I really do like this job. Sure, it's true. I think I mean if you really like the job, and then tell them that you're okay with offering taking up a lower salary than you initially talked about. Like I said, it's a negotiation process. So then you will at least get closer to the original 30% increase target, right? So hope that helps you, Joycelyn. I haven't got to Kim's answer on. Oh, it's the next one. Okay, Kim. I personally do not think quickly enough. Personally, I do not think colored hair is unprofessional. In fact, I would encourage my team members to go for it if that's what they like. One's appearance does not define their capability and skills in performing a task and job. In fact, I was hired while having red hair, and now in the management with unicorn hair colors and different environments all the time. Yes, I totally agree with you, Kim. How do I put it? Personally, I have no problem, but sometimes I also want to avoid the conversation of um, um, of this lah. Like for example, if you're always dealing with perhaps certain more traditional industries, right? People who do not think the same way. It might be I don't think sore spot is the right word, but it may be a subject that is a bit too distracting, lah. Right. So I used to color my hair. I don't anymore. Not because people don't allow it here, but because I I think it's a matter of personal preference, lah. But like same basically just same place as you, Kim. Uh, you like that answer, Kenny, having colored hair?
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, right, it's not really the color also. It's like how your hairstyle is. If it's messy plus colored, then the reaction gets a bit crazier. But if you've got a nice, like really clean hairstyle, just a sleek hairstyle with just like colored hair, it works. So yes, I support
think
this.
messy would be a different topic. That would be personal grooming already. That's very important.
Yeah.
Especially if you go to an interview with a red hair, that's one thing. If you go to an interview with a red messy hair, that is a completely different thing.
Yeah. I think we're out of time already. I'm so sorry, guys. I have another meeting to join. I mean, the purpose of this is a pop-up Q&A lah. So like it's a pop-up store like that, like a bit impromptu, but we set a time to make it a bit more easy for you lah, right? I'm unfortunately I have to excuse myself. Why Kenny, Eleanor, why don't you take over the show, right?
All right, sure. Thanks,
Yeah,
Brian.
All
sure.
right. Thank you. Bye.
Right, bye.
Okay, I don't know. Shall we take one more question, or do you want to end it here?
I think we can maybe take one more question.
All right,
Yeah.
cool. Okay,
Can you
let me
pick the
take-
question?
Let me pick a really nice question, and let's
Yeah.
say, okay, wait. Let's continue on the conversation that we had then. So Wilson actually mentioned, if the current salary is already very high, let's say already 5 figures, should he also put 30%?
So actually, no. The general thought of the norm of putting 30% higher or like 20% higher does not it's not the same as it changes as your salary grows. So of course, if you are earning a big salary, 5 figures, 6 figures, you wouldn't put companies wouldn't want to pay 30% or like 20% higher because that would be a big jump. But it differs. So I can't tell you how much exactly to put. But it's definitely you shouldn't follow the norm. You should do your research on what is the around that the people who are earning around the same salary, what salary increment, what percentage of salary increment do they usually get, and then maybe you can put slightly higher than that to
have room for
yeah,
negotiation.
to have room for negotiation during the interview. So yeah, the answer is no.
My opinion on this, Wilson, is that I think when you're earning 5 figures, typically you're already quite high up in the like executive range. So like I don't know, I agree that there's no longer like a standard that you follow. It's really more or less of like for people in your market range as a top tier executive, how much are you actually earning? And for some, maybe you were lucky enough to get a very high salary boost early in your career, but it really depends on if the new company is willing to pay. And also you got to see that how much value you bring to them. So you need to sort of adjust it according to what you can bring to the table. Because after you pass a certain level, it's no longer like a standard jump. It really depends on how much impact you can bring and how much the employers need to compensate.
Yeah.
I think that covers it all.
Yeah, I think that's all the time that we have. We're here every Thursday, 30 minutes only, unfortunately, because we do have other things to get to. But, we hope that, these 30 minutes that we spend with you is beneficial, helps to guide you guys to make better career decisions. And if you have any more questions that we didn't get to answer, what do we do, Kenny?
All right. So for people who still have questions like City, I don't know, there's still Ben, maybe anyone who still has any questions, you can either wait for next Thursday and join us again for Papa Q&A and we'll answer you live, or you can head over to Offwork, hit OFFWERK. Offwork is actually a community that we created for people to ask career questions and just talk about career topics. So feel free to go over there. And also, just to let everyone know, right now we are also sorry, we are like, you guys know us as a job portal, but we actually now also have recruitment services. So if you're looking for opportunities and you want to be contacted, you want to save time on job searching, you can drop your CV at x.highly.com, right up there, the link, and our recruiters will reach out to you when we find a match. So yeah, until then, we'll see you next week.
Right. See you
Bye
guys.
everyone.
Bye.